Hello. Today I wanted to share with you something that I read in the narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, which was incredibly striking to me. It is in the appendix of his account. I'm reading this out of the Norton Anthology of American Literature from 1820 to 1865. And people are, I think, fond of trying to point out the non-Christian origins of the United States of America. They try to point out that all of the founding fathers were not Christians, some were deists. People will also quote things like the Treaty of Tripoli. But it's undeniable that there is a early influence, especially the Puritan influence, and with the Great Awakening, with George Whitfield and Jonathan Edwards, and some of the other preachers that were active at that time, that Christianity had a profound influence on the original 13 colonies. And there is even some scholarship that has suggested that George Whitfield's preaching during the Great Awakening and his orphanage down in Savannah, Georgia, where he went state to state raising funds for that orphanage while he was preaching, that his itinerant ministry was actually the first unifying force of the colonies. Now, it's not necessarily the case, but it has been advanced as a theory. And what's interesting in the life of this narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass is that Frederick Douglass himself considers himself a Christian, but he absolutely abhors the hypocritical Christianity of the slaveholders. And that is what struck me. We had to read his account in one of my university courses where we read certain portions of this anthology. And the appendix was the most profound for me. Of course, the story itself was incredibly moving, but this was kind of like the culmination of his thoughts and reflections looking back at the account that he had written. So I'm just going to read a portion of it here. And it really speaks for itself, so I'll end the video shortly after I read the account. So, starting the appendix, Frederick Douglass says, "I find, since reading over the foregoing narrative, that I have in several instances spoken in such a tone and manner respecting religion as may possibly lead those unacquainted with my religious views to suppose me an opponent of all religion. To remove the liability of such misapprehension, I deem it proper to append the following brief explanation. What I have said respecting and against religion, I mean strictly to apply to the slave-holding religion of this land, and with no possible reference to Christianity proper. For between the Christianity of this land and the Christianity of Christ, I recognize the widest possible difference, so wide that to receive the one as good, pure, and holy is of necessity to reject the other as bad, corrupt, and wicked. To be the friend of the one is of necessity to be the enemy of the other. I love the pure, peaceable, and impartial Christianity of Christ. I therefore hate the corrupt, slave-holding, women-whipping, cradle-plundering, partial, and hypocritical Christianity of this land. Indeed, I can see no reason but the most deceitful one for calling the religion of this land Christianity. I look upon it as the climax of all misnomers, the boldest of all frauds, and the grossest of all libels. Never was there a clearer case of stealing the livery of the court of heaven to serve the devil in. I am filled with unutterable loathing when I contemplate the religious pomp and show together with the horrible inconsistencies which everywhere surround me. We have men-stealers for ministers, women-whippers for missionaries, and cradle-plunderers for church members. The man who wields the blood-clotted cowskin during the week fills the pulpit on Sunday and claims to be a minister of the meek and lowly Jesus. The man who robs me of my earnings at the end of each week meets me as a class leader on Sunday morning to show me the way of life, and the path of salvation. So there you have it. He says that he doesn't regard the land as being predominantly Christian, but by that he's not denying that it has Christian roots, because he actually says Christianity is something different than what was displayed.